Welcome to Life Abridged with your host, Eric Wallier. Run it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. It has been a while. I am well aware. I got a mullet here. My beard is grown out. So, lots of changes on my end. But really, the only reason I haven't been keeping up with these is because of the video I've been working on. The one I released last week, the treasure hunt one. I'm assuming you saw it, but if you haven't, it's linked down below. Go watch that because I'm pretty much going to be only talking about that this episode, going into like more behind the scenes, my thought process, what went into making it, and stuff like that. Because it was a big video for me. I've never really done anything like that, but it was a success, I would say. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely learned a lot, which is always a good thing. So yeah, I had the idea to do it a couple months ago. My main inspiration was this guy right here. His name is Forrest Fenn, and about 10 years ago, he released this book. It's called The Thrill of the Chase. It's his memoir, but also at the end of it is a poem that would lead you to a treasure that he hid in the wilderness. It's pretty popular. A lot of people tried to find it, me included. I bought this book like 6 months ago and started, theorizing, trying to figure out where he hid the treasure because no one had found it for the longest time. And I was actually planning on taking a trip out to Montana, which is where I thought he hid it, sometime this summer, but that was before all this Corona stuff, so that kind of ruined that. And then in June, someone actually found it. So the treasure is gone, but I still got a lot from this. I got a lot from him. It's a good book. It was an interesting poem, some good clues in there to really try to figure out, try to solve it. And that's like one of the main reasons I did what I did, just because I thought trying to find that treasure was super fun. And I didn't know of any others, so I figured I'd make one myself. And I guess that's what I did. At first I was going to do it with friends, just figure something out that way. And then I guess I just kind of thought about doing it with strangers and went with that. So I decided to do it at a local park, one that I live somewhat close to. I chose that place because, one, it's pretty popular. I wanted a lot of people, just, so we could get as many as we could to do it. And I also know it very well. I know pretty much every little section of the park, a lot of detail about it, which I wanted to know, just because when I was making the clues and stuff, it would make it a lot easier. So I chose a local park by me. I wanted to give a significant prize to make it actually worthwhile, make it worth doing. So I decided, on $100, just whatever. It couldn't be anything less than that. That wouldn't be as cool. So yeah, I decided on $100, and then I started making the clues. At first, I didn't know if I wanted to do like a map or something, or just like listed clues, but then I kind of decided to do what Forrest Fenn did and do a little bit of a poem. I didn't really go into it much in the video, but there are pictures like that accompany the poem, and those would help people a lot. Without those, it would have been a lot harder. So it was a mix of like the poem and the images I made. And I was thinking about doing like actual like handouts, give people actually like a paper copy of the clues. But I figured, that would make it more complicated. It's more of a health risk, I guess. So I was just like, I'll print out a big poster of it and have people take a picture of it. Or I also had a website. I don't know if I mentioned that in the video. But yeah, I had a website that's still up that you can go to that had the clues on it. So I gave them those options instead of like actually a physical piece of paper, which maybe I will do going forward with a physical piece of paper, maybe not. We'll see. It's not that important. But yeah, so I did that. I got all the stuff printed, like the banner I made, the instructions, and then the clues, which was expensive, but I think it looked pretty good. And yeah, and that was pretty much all the setup. Like, it was pretty much just an idea, and I went for it. It was definitely a little bit scuffed, which was to be expected. It was my first time. When we were setting up, the park ranger pulled up to me. He didn't say anything. I walked up to him. I was like, I bet you're wondering what I'm doing. He's like, yes, this is extremely out of the ordinary. And I was like, oh, I'm just doing a treasure hunt. And then I told him all the details and stuff. And luckily, he was pretty much okay with it. He didn't bother us again. So shout out to that guy. He was really cool. I think if I continue to do this, which I plan to, I will probably end up getting kicked out of places I do it, which would suck. But I mean, I would understand. I kind of made a little bit of a scene. But yeah, we basically just set up, and like I said, I just started asking people if they wanted to do a treasure hunt. We didn't have like a ton of interest. Part of the problem with the park we were at is there's no like main area that everyone goes, that everyone parks at even. Like, you can park in a bunch of different places. So it's a very spread out place, and I didn't know the best place to sit to get the most amount of people, but I think we may do. People at least seemed interested, and obviously, like you saw in the video, people were, and people did solve it. I do think I made it a little bit too hard, though. It was just a lot of walking. Like I said, I didn't exactly know where to set up. So when I was making the clues, I was kind of in a different spot in my mind, and it made it a little bit easier maybe. But yeah, it was a lot of walking. It wasn't like a perfectly designed scavenger hunt, but it worked. After giving some people some hints, it worked. And I definitely learned from that. I have ideas now about what I should do, how hard I should do it. And I mean, when I made the clues, I didn't consult like anyone. I should have just asked like some of my friends or something if they thought it was too hard or something like that for them to try to solve it, which I probably will do in the future just to get a better idea of how it actually comes across to someone who has no idea what it is. Because like working on it, I mean, the answer seems so obvious, but you're the one who made it. Solving a puzzle is just as hard as making a puzzle, though. They're just two different things. So yeah, that was the whole experience. Like I said, I am going to be doing it again in the future. I already got the place. I'm starting to get together like what I want to do, how I can make it better. I ideally would want to be posting these like once every few weeks. I feel like a month would be too long. I really want to get it down. I want to get more of these out because that's part of my problem. I don't put out enough content. And part of the reason this one took so long is just because like I'm so obsessed with it being perfect, which is dumb because it never is perfect, obviously. And I mean, perfection is just another form of insecurity. I want people to watch it and be like, wow, this is so good, or wow, this is so cool, and think about me, which I've talked about before. It's selfish. It's not where you want to be. And I lose sight of like what's really important. Like, it doesn't have to be this flawlessly edited piece with every shot being perfect. It doesn't have to be that. Like, it can be a little bit scuffed and still get the point across. I mean, that's harder to do as a creator, at least for me, but in the long run, it's so much better to just get more out rather than just sit on one video. Like, I was editing for a month. I mean, that's too long. And I've always known this. Like, I've known this is a problem of mine. I tried to like fight against that when I was vlogging, which was good, but I mean, I was doing that almost too much. Like, you do have to care about the final product. You do have to spend time editing, just not as much as I typically do. So, you know, I've been thinking about that. It's I mean, it's good to learn. I'm always, you know, introspective, learning from what I've done. And I mean, I figured a lot out from this that I can do a lot quicker next time. Like I said, it's my first time doing this, so I'm not going to be too hard on myself. But that is always a problem I've had, just striving for perfection when it's not worth it. And then also moving forward, I want to make it a better overall product. The perfection thing. But no, just like when I did this one, it was kind of like all we saw was them being introduced to it, and then pretty much that's it, except for the final group that did solve it. We get to see the reaction, but I want to see more of people, you know, going through the process of trying to solve it. So whether that's a camera at one of the clues, or like someone following a group around just to see how they handle it, or just keeping it more closer to where I'm at so I can do more. That's the goal. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that and stuff like that. So yeah, it was an interesting process, and I hope this was interesting. I don't know, was this interesting at all? Probably only for a select few people. But anyways, I'm back here, back doing the podcast. I can't promise every week because consistency is not my strong suit. But I'm back, we're back, and I will see you guys in the next one.